Hare Krishna. Thank you again for coming to our evening katha. Today we're going to continue our Barsana pastimes. We hope that all of you are safe, and wherever it's mandated, you stay at home and just be safe and try to increase your hearing and chanting. That's why we're coming every evening, so you can hear a little bit of Hari Katha and become purified. So today we're going to continue Barsana Prikrama. So there's another beautiful song that we also sing on Barsana Prikrama. Very beautiful song of Srila Rupa Goswami, all about the glories of Srimati Radharani. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Damodara Rati Bardana Veshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipine Se, Damodara Rati Bardana Veshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipine, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Prisabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke, Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake, Prisabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke, Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite, Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Madhava Daite, Karanam Karumai Karuna Bharite, Sanaka Sanatana Barnita Charite, Karanam Karumai Karuna Bharite, Sanaka Sanatana Barnita Charite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, 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 Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Daite means beloved. Rupa Goswami says, all glories to Srimati Radharani, the beloved of Madhav. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Taruni means young girls. So even all the young girls of Gokul, they're bewildered by seeing the beauty of Srimati Radhika. She's so beautiful. Even girls are bewildered by her beauty. Now Prabhupada explains that somebody may ask Rupa Goswami, he's a great big scholar, he knows Sanskrit, he knows Urdu, he knows so many languages, he's a big scholar, why he's writing song about young girl? But this is not ordinary girl. The last line says Sanak Sanatana Barnita Charite. Sanak Sanandan means referring to 4 Kumaras. Barnite Charite, just like we know Chaitanya Charita Amrita. They're glorifying the character of Radharani, and they've been brahmacharis since the beginning of the universe. So we're not talking about ordinary girl, but that own Ladini Shakti of Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna. Again, we'd like to welcome you all to our evening katha here in Vrindavan Dham. We're having very interesting weather today. Whole day it's been sprinkling. So we had a nice place picked out outside, but we had to move inside. We hope all of you are safe and increasing your sadhana in this extraordinary time. We're having a good time. We're having our book Braj Leela translated into Hindi. So I was looking over the Hindi translation today. Every couple of days we get an installment. So we're taking advantage of this empty time. So I hope you're all well. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparandigam Aradana Srinandandai Vridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Vadambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So yesterday we started the Prikrama of Barsana, and we went on top of one of the peaks of Barsana, Man Mandir, where Radharani became upset with Krishna. As we told, this hill of Barsana is incarnation of Lord Brahma. So just as Brahma has got four heads, this hill has got 4 peaks. So from Man Mandir we come back down this long stairway, and we enter into the beautiful Gebarvan forest. This forest on the backside of Barsana is known as Gebarvan. And it is a beautiful forest. There's special trees that grow here we call dao. You will never see them growing on the lowlands where there's water. They only grow on the mountains where there's no water, because all the water will run down. But in dry place like Barsana and Govardhan, you will find these beautiful trees. And in the rainy season, they get thousands of beautiful emerald drop leaves that are just hanging over the path that we're walking on now. Emerald drop leaves. And then after a little while, little yellow topaz flowers come. Then after a while, we see tiny little ruby fruits. So this forest, Gebarvan, is the playground of Radha and Krishna. Very special place. Emerald leaves, topaz flowers, ruby fruits. And then if you come in December, then you will find all gold leaf trees. All the trees will have gold leaves. And if you come in January, then you'll find all tambu. What is tambu? Copper leaf trees. Beautiful copper leaf tree forest. And if you come at Gaur Purnima time, then there's no leaves at all. But the tree's bark is very light color, and that time, Gaur Purnima time, the sun becomes very strong, so it looks like a whole forest of silver filigree trees. Very mystical forest. And if you're in the right mood and you pick the right rocks, because ordinarily if you hit 2 rocks together, clack, 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 clack. But in Gebarvan, if you look around carefully and you're in the right mood, in Bhav, then you can pick up 2 rocks and they go ding, 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 just like ankle bells. And this forest is like the playground of Radha and Krishna. They have so many wonderful pastimes we're hearing in this forest. So we wander through this beautiful forest. This time of year, if you go on top of Barsana, it's very hot, but there's always a beautiful breeze blowing. And it makes wonderful sound in the trees. You just hear this shh, shh, all the leaves fluttering in the breeze. As although it's hot season, Krishna turns on his fan and beautiful breeze blows. So we walk through this Gabarban forest, sometimes we see a very special tree in Braj called Karil. You won't see one leaf on this tree. Only little green twigs and very, very sharp thorns. And then just before Kartik time, a month before Kartik, then tiny little green fruits come. This we call tenti. The Brajbasis say Kabul kamewa or Braj ka tenti. Kabul has got dry fruit and Braj has got tenti. If you ever eat at a Brajbasi's house and you see these little green balls bigger than a pea, the special achar, pickle, then you can know that is tenti achar. This is favorite. In fact, the Brajbasis told me, because we read in Srimad Bhagavatam in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, that one time Lord Brahma, he took all the cowherd boys away. When he came back, he saw Krishna was standing there with a lump of chipped rice, yogurt, and Bhagavatam says phalam. But the Brajbasis had told me this is their favorite, this chipped rice, yogurt, and you put this tenti achar. So this is what Lord Brahma saw. Krishna standing there with his blue lotus fingers, and this yellow mustard oil was dripping between his fingers. He had this lump of tenti achar on the top of his chipped rice and yogurt. That was a vision of Lord Brahma. So we see many other trees in this forest. One tree called Baran. It's even the Latin scholars recognize it as a tree because its name is something religiosa. I can't remember just now. Religiosa. It's also, every twig has got 3 leaves on each twig. Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. So we wander through this beautiful Gabarban forest, relishing the breeze blowing in the leaves, hearing the sounds of the kokila singing. Then we come to a little temple on top of a little hill called Dangar. Now Dan you may know, because whenever you go to Barsana, all the pandits descend upon you. Dan donation. So what happened at this place, first we're going to have to go behind Barsana to the village of Lalita Saki called Unchagaon. There's a little hill behind Barsana called Unchagaon. And in that Unchagaon, there lived a very, 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 very poor Brahmin, just like me. And just like me, he had a very, 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 very beautiful daughter who was marriageable age. Of course, now my daughter's married and she made me into Deena Bandhu. I have a little granddaughter named Kinnari. So now, unless you're from India, you can't understand the meaning of these two things. To be very, very poor and to have a very beautiful daughter. Because in India, not only do you raise your daughter and clothe your daughter and feed your daughter and train your daughter how to serve her husband for the rest of her life, but when you want to get your daughter married, you have to give money to. Actually, this is the way the Vedas even everything out. Because according to the Vedas, only the sons will inherit the property of the father. So the Vedas always try to even everything out. So, the daughters, they get their inheritance at the time of their wedding. The guys, the boys, they all have to wait for the old man to kick off. But the girls, they get their inheritance at the time of their wedding. Which is very scientific because now they're starting a new life. They have to get house and children will come and there's so many expenses. So it's very, very practical and scientific thing. But anyway, if you're very, very, very poor and you have a beautiful daughter, this is a big anxiety. Because if a father can't get a proper husband for his daughter, then he will suffer for the rest of his life. And not like me, he had a wife whose tongue was like a razor blade, always cutting him. What kind of Brahmin are you? Get some dhan, get some charity, arrange the wedding of your daughter. She was always cutting him with her tongue. One day, she said, all right, look, I'm not going to cook, I'm not going to clean, I'm not even going to let you get back in the house. You get out, and you get some dhan, and you arrange the wedding of your daughter, or you don't come home. So that poor Brahmin, he thought what to do. Then he thought, well, Krishna, he's the friend of the poor, Deena Bandhu. He help me. He must be there in Gevarvan with all his friends. So he went there to Gevarvan, and sure enough, Radharani and all the Sakhis were enjoying there with Krishna on top of this hilltop. And so he came there, he explained the situation to Krishna, and Krishna said, Arey bhai, now what am I supposed to do? All the money's in Nandagam with Nanda Baba. I don't have any money. I'm just a cowherd boy enjoying with my girlfriends in the forest. Then that Brahmin began to cry. Now we know that Lord Krishna, he doesn't like to see the Brahmins unhappy. We sing every day, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitayacha. Krishna likes to see cows and Brahmins very happy. So he thought what to do. So he said, look, I don't have any money, but I have one Priya. You know Priya? Priya means dear. And in British English, dear means something very, very costly. Just like the Americans, when the gasoline, or we call it here petrol, when the petrol reaches $4 a gallon, they start crying. But I figured it out in England, they sell it by liters, but if you figure it out by gallons, it comes out to about $7.5, $8 a gallon. Oh, it is so dear. So dear means very valuable thing. So he said, I don't have any money, but I have one Priya. And Krishna made sankalp, and he gave Radharani in charity to that Brahmin. Then that poor Brahmin, he really began to cry. First of all, I have one daughter, I can't even get her married. Now you gave me a second daughter, now my wife is going to kill me. And Radharani, she looked at Krishna so startled and said, but Shyam Sundar, you know, 1 second I can't live without you. She began to cry. And Shyam said, no, now I've given charity to Brahman, I cannot touch. But Shyam Sundar, you know, 1 second I can't live without you. And she was crying. And Krishna said, no, now I gave in charity to Brahman, now I cannot touch. And seeing Radharani crying, all the Sakhis began to cry. Now everybody's crying. Krishna thought for a minute what to do. So then he told the Sakhis to bring one scale. Not like you have at home in your bathroom, but like when you go to buy your fruit across the street from the temple, like that, big scale. And he put Radharani on one side, and he told all the Sakhis, you take all your gold and silver bangles and earrings and nose-pin, all your ruby and diamond and pearl and everything, put it on the other side. If you go to the main temple in Delhi sometime, in Santnagar, then in the Prikrama Marg, they have so many beautiful paintings done by our Russian devotees. And right exactly behind Gaur Nitai, you'll see a beautiful painting of this pastime. Radharani sitting in the scale and all the Sakhis putting their jewelry on the other side. When that weighed just as much as the body, Deha, of Srimati Radhika, then Krishna gave all that gold and silver and pearl and diamond and ruby and sapphire in charity to that Brahmin. That Brahmin became very happy. Haribo, Haribo! He ran off to Unchagaon to arrange the wedding of his daughter. And Radharani became happy, and seeing Radharani happy, all the Sakhis became extremely happy. In one stroke, Shyam Sundar made everyone very happy. He's very clever. Sri Sri Radha Krishna ki jai. So here we have the beautiful deity of Radha Dan Bihari. He always has beautiful little sandalwood and Keshar, what do you say Keshar? Saffron paintings on his face, very beautiful deity. In fact, there's one lady, she's actually from Mauritius, but she lives in Toronto. And every year she comes on Prakama and Kartik, and she always brings a little bottle of saffron for the deities. Because we shouldn't come to Vrindavan just like tourists. We should come with a seva bhav. Whatever temple we go, we offer some donation, or we offer some nice thing for the service of the Lord. So she offers saffron every time for service of Radha Dan Bihari. And just outside we have these two big pillars with a arch in between. That is for doing Julan Yatra, we call Hindol. One time, if you come in rainy season, then you can see Radha Dan Bihari swinging very sweetly in this Hindol. One time, Tamal Krishna came there with all his disciples. That time was Julan Yatra, and immediately he told his disciples, you make some outfit for these deities. These deities are very nice, so they made nice outfits. So we should come with this service mood. There's another Hindol nearby across the valley that we just walked through a little while ago to go to Sankari Kor. We heard that hill is called Bilasgar. And if we look across from Dangar, we can see another big Hindol there, two big columns, archway in between for hanging the deity swing for doing Julan Yatra. What happened is Julan Yatra comes in Shravan. And it's customary in India that the young married girls in Shravan, they come home to visit their father, to visit their parents. So in Shravan, Radharani leaves Javat and she comes to Barsana. And we know Javat is much closer to Nandagam, so now she's far away from her beloved and she's feeling sad. So the Sakhis took her on top of that hill and they were swinging her very sweetly because that time it's rainy season, so the breeze is very cool. And the swing makes even more breeze. They were swinging Radharani very sweetly. Suddenly they looked down in the pass and they saw some Sakhi that nobody knew. Very dark little Sakhi was coming very shyly down the path. And Radharani told Lalita, go bring this new Sakhi. Who is she? So she had her face covered just like a good Sakhi. And they brought her by the hand up to the Julan grounds. And Radharani looked at her and said, my dear sister, why are you standing there? Please sit next to me on the swing. And very shyly she peeked underneath her sari at Radharani and she sat down next to Radharani. Now by now you may have understood who our dark Nusaki is. Now he's got his desire. He's sitting right next to Radharani in the swing. Ping, 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 ping. His heart was going like this. And he fainted. Then Lalita Sakhi and all the Sakhi, Are, what happened? What's the matter? They're going like this. Now if we touch here on a woman, it's very soft, but they felt something hard. And Lalita Sakhi reached inside the sari and she pulled out Krishna's flute. Then they sprinkled some water and brought Krishna up. And then that was the Ekadasi day. From the Ekadasi day up to the Balaram Purnima, we do the Julan Yatra of Radha Govinda. So that is where the Julan Yatra pastime takes place. Very beautiful place. So after we leave Dangar, we go through a big gate. There's a very tall wall and a small little gate. And we come to a very large, beautiful Rajasthani style temple. This is called Jaipur Mandir. Because originally, with the temple that we see now, Sriji Mandir, there was just a tiny temple. If you know where to look, you can see the original temple. And then they made a second temple that's now the kitchen. But third temple was very, very large and beautiful, you've seen. But originally there wasn't a very nice temple there. So the king of Jaipur, Sawai Madhu Singh, he bought that whole hilltop there. You ever wondered why the kings of Jaipur are called Sawai? Because in Hindi, Sawa means 1/4. So they all consider themselves 1/4 better than the previous ancestor. Madhu Sawai, 25%. So he bought that hillside, he built a beautiful palace. with all rooms all around, and beautiful Rajasthani tiled temple, and with lattice work, very exquisite lattice work, all carved out of stone, very beautiful windows all carved out of stone. Huge temple is there. And very beautiful deities. But actually what happened was when he tried to move the deities from the main temple to that side, then Radharani refused to move. Because she knew these Jaipur kings are very tricky. They took Madan Mohan, Govindadev and Gopinath and Radha Binod. They took them all off to Jaipur. So she didn't want to. Now if I go there, that's even today it's still property of Jaipur kings. It's under the Rajasthan Devasthanam Vibhag. So she wouldn't move. So then the king installed some very exquisite deities. Radha Kushal Bihari. Kushal means the type of happiness you feel in the heart. So this is Radha Happy Bihari. And you don't dare take photo there. Not quite as strict as Mandir, but very. So you don't dare take photos there, but you take photo with your heart. And there's 3 altars. On the main altar, of course, is Radha Kushal Bihari. Facing the altar on the left side, there's a deity of Radha Hans Gopal. Because Sawai Madhav Singh, he was disciple of a guru from Nimbarka Sampradaya. And Nimbarka Sampradaya traces their lineage from the Hans incarnation of the Lord. So you see Hans Gopal, then you see Nard Muni. Somehow this character, he gets around, he's in different sampradayas also. Next to him you see 4 little black faces, this is the 4 Kumaras. Then on the front is black deity is there of Nimbarkacharya himself. And on the side of him is Srinivas, his most famous disciple. Then we go over, facing the altar, we go on to the right side. There's little tiny deities of Radha. Nritya Gopal. Nritya means dancing. Radha Nritya Gopal, dancing Gopal. And just beside Nritya Gopal's altar, you'll see covered in a cloth, they have a beautiful little Rath cart. Whenever Rath Yatra is there, they take the deities, and there's a beautiful court all around this temple. In fact, this courtyard has got amazing paintings. There's paintings of Gajendra Moksh, of Dan Leela that we just described in Sankari Kaur, Nandagam. So many Govardhan Leelas there. Damodar Leela part 1 and part 2. Damodar stealing the butter and knocking down the trees. And Jamasmi Leela part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Krishna appearing before Vasudeva and Devaki. Vasudeva carrying him across the Jamuna, putting him in Gokul, and Kans killing the child. So part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And then there's an exquisite, beautiful deity of painting. This is all done on the walls. Very natural paints of the Radha and Krishna. So cute. Luckily outside you can take pictures. The most cutest picture of Radha and Krishna doing Julan Yatra. And then they have 2 outside the door. There's 2 huge Tulsi pillars, shaped just in the form of the temple itself. This is Jaipur Mandir. Then from Jaipur Mandir, we walk through a garden. It's one of the few things that the government of UP actually maintains very nicely. Beautiful garden is there, and so many bougainvilleas are there depending on the season. Just like now was holy season, so we saw some pink bougainvillea going like this, and red bougainvillea, and white bougainvillea. You can see Krishna was playing holy. And then you come at Kartik time, because the middle of Kartik is Diwali, everyone shoots off firecrackers. So at that time the new shoots of the bougainvillea are growing, and you see them shooting up like this, and at the very end some flowers, it looks just like a rocket trail, and then spray of flowers at the end. Krishna playing Diwali. Then we come to the main temple, very large temple that was constructed later after Jaipur Mandir. And even later, within my vision, I watched one sadhu from sneeze is trying to come, not coming. I watched one sadhu from Vrindavan called Janki Das. He doubled the size of the courtyard. They built a beautiful hall down below and then doubled the size of the courtyard because it's so incredible and huge crowd is there on Janmashtami. So we come here, enter this temple, and way inside there's these beautiful deities of Radha, Ladli, Lal. Ladli means, of course, little girl, and Lal means little boy. Beautiful deities of Ladli, Lal. And they're very strict about taking photos. Of course, nowadays with these cell phones, it's hard for them to stop everyone. So every once in a while on Facebook you see somebody snuck a photo. They're very beautiful deities of Ladli, Lal. And so many beautiful paintings on the ceiling, Ras Leela on the top of the ceiling, so many paintings of different Leelas all around. And very large temple. In fact, I have been there for Janmashtami. If you want to know how to celebrate Janmashtami, then you have to go to Ladli Lal Temple, Sriji Mandir. But you will have to go the night before. Because around midnight they'll lock the door. So big crowd is there, they won't let anybody else in until after the Abhishek. But I went there one time, and all night long they dance and sing. Now first of all, they have huge pool bungalow, and they do beautiful artik in the evening, put the deities to rest, and then everybody dances and sings their heart out. Now you know how to celebrate Radhastami. Is you sing and dance all night long. And in the main courtyard, they have 4 groups, one in each corner and one in the middle. 4 different kirtan parties are going on. Sometimes one becomes more prominent, sometimes another one becomes more prominent, sometimes the middle one, everyone sort of gravitates toward the main kirtan going on. On the back courtyard, there's these guys that come from Rajasthan, and they dress themselves up so beautifully. You'll sit there and you'll think, is that a girl or is that a guy? Beautiful silken embroidered outfits they have, and beautiful crown, and incredible skirt, about 20 meters of cloth. And they just spin and spin and spin, and that cloth is going like this and like this and like this. And then they'll stop, and so much cloth is there, the cloth continues and wraps around them. Then they just go like that, and it unwinds, and then they spin around and around the other way and dancing, and you'll just try to figure out is that a guy or a girl. Then slowly around 2 o'clock in the morning, all the Brahmins from Barsana come, and they sit down on the main courtyard. And they have big songbook with great big Hindi letters like this, and they're sitting facing each other and singing old ancient Radhastami songs back and forth. We call Samaj, Gayan, Samaj singing. And everyone's sitting and listening to this singing. And by that time they've blocked off the main altar, so the darshan mandap is closed off with a big curtain. Because for the Abhishek they bring Radharani outside onto the darshan mandap. They set up a special altar there. So the main altar is blocked off, the darshan mandap is blocked off. Suddenly the curtains rustle. Everybody leaps to their feet. I remember I went there one time with a devotee from Singapore named Senan, who was about 65, 68 years old. And of course I was much younger then. So I was thinking that was old. Anyway, we had gotten there late, so we were way up against the wall. As soon as everyone stood up, the crowd just pushed us right in the middle in front of Sriji. And all of a sudden they opened the curtain and they began the Abhishek, and our feet never touched the ground. We went 15 feet over this side, we went 20 feet over this side, and our feet were never touching the ground. I looked back and I told poor Sena was having a heart attack, but when he saw me, because I'm just used to it, that's just the way it is in Braj. So I was just laughing and enjoying like anything, being swept around by the crowd. So then he began to laugh, and somehow the crowd kept us the whole time right in front as they did the Abhishek and singing beautiful songs for Radharani. Then after the Abhishek, they opened up the doors, let everybody was standing outside in, and they were handing out Charanamrita. Very, very beautiful festival is there. And so many beautiful paintings are there. There's one picture of the most famous Leela of Barsana, which is called Latmar Holi. Lati means these heavy bamboo sticks. So what happens is not on we celebrate Holi on the Purnima, but on the Nomi before Purnima is Latmar Holi in Barsana. Day before is Laddu Holi, where they throw laddus at all the people, and then next day is Latmar Holi. And you go there and it's just total chaos. Everybody's throwing color at everybody, especially if you're a certain color, then they target you like anything, especially if you're a certain gender and a certain color. All the way up the stairs, throwing color. When you get to the temple, all around that raised gallery around the courtyard, there's guys, they have big barrels of color. And this is natural color. This is a flower in Braj called a keshu. We call it palasa in Sanskrit. In Brajbhasa it's keshu. And in English it's called flame of the forest. It blooms just this time of year. And it looks like little parrot peaks, like this reddish color, reddish orangish color, and they're shaped like little parrot peaks flowing down in a little line like this. And they dry those flowers, save them for the next year, then they put them in a big 50-gallon barrel and soak it for 3 days. It becomes beautiful yellowish color and very fragrant. And they have pitchkaris. Prabhupada translates as syringe-like instruments, great big brass pitchkaris like this. They stick them in the barrel and psh, psh. Now all the Brahmins from Nandagam, they come there. First they stay at Pili Poker. We heard about Pili Poker. They stay there, they feast and kachoris and puri and sag and have wonderful time there. Then in the afternoon, if you want to enjoy this festival, you have to come in the afternoon. Then they put turbans on their head with gamshas and rolled up towels inside, and they have these big black shields covered with colored tinfoil with all beautiful designs on them. And they all come charging up into the temple, and they bring the flag of Nandalala, Nandalala's janda. They have a big pole with Nandalala's flag from Nandagam. They all walked from Nandagam to Barsana. They come charging up into the temple. Everybody starts squirting them like anything and throwing color. And then they run around the gallery upstairs, and then they all run and they come and sit downstairs. By this time, the temple floor has become the Red Sea. There's so much water and so much color, it all becomes red. And all the Nandagam Brahmins sit on this side, and all the Barsana Brahmins sit on this side. And again, they sing these beautiful, old, ancient, holy songs. Sing these beautiful holy songs back and forth. One side singing, the other side answering, other side answering, other side singing, like this it goes on. And they have, in each corner and in between, they have some guy with a 50-kilo bag of color. And they're squirting and squirting, and these guys they take a cloth, they wrap up color in a cloth, and they fling it, and you just see this big pink cloud come across Gulal, Then a red cloud comes from this side, then a blue cloud comes from this side, then a yellow cloud comes from this side, a green cloud comes from this side. And if you've ever been up to Barsana, that time of year, beautiful breeze is there. All these colored clouds are blowing in the breeze. It just looks like you're in Golok Dham. It's the most amazing scene. And these guys, they become so covered with so much color. First they turn reddish, then purplish, then violet, then finally black and blue. They're completely black and blue. Then, after all the singing is over, the Nandagam Brahmins, they run downstairs. There's a lane called the Rangili Gully, the colored passage. So they all run down to the Rangili Gully, and all the ladies, Brahmanis of Barsana, all those Brahmin ladies who are married in Barsana. Those who are born there, they cannot play. If you're married in Barsana, you can play. And they come there and they pass insults on the ladies, and then they have these shields, and they have this big turban with gumshas and towels out, and they get down to the ground and they bounce like this, and the ladies come with their beautiful veils over their face with beautiful silver and gold trim, just dancing, and beautiful skirts with beautiful gold and silver trim, just dancing, and with full force, they're just bam, they jump and come down like that. And there's 3 or 4 girls and one guy, and finally one guy comes, stops everything, then another guy gets in there, therefore this is called hitting with the stick, Lat Mar Holi. Very amazing scene. Then after everybody distributes laddus, and all the Nandagam Brahmins go back to Nandagam. This is the Holi of Barsana. You can see the picture is there. And these are not little lattis like this. They're very thick poles like this. And it's not, they're not the wives, but the sisters of their wives. But they know what rascals they've been all year long. So they just, on behalf of their sisters. It's an amazing scene. You see it. There's a lot of female bonding going on. They're just letting them have it for all the rascal they were all year long. Bam, bam. It's the most amazing scene. One time in the last time I went, it took us 2 hours to get out of the parking. So be warned. But it's worth it to see one time in the lifetime. Latmar Holi. Next day, on Dasami Day, the same thing happens, opposite way. All the Nandagam Brahmanis who are married, they play, and the men from Barsana go there. There's another picture. One time, Radharani was very upset with Krishna, so she wasn't seeing him. But actually within her heart, she wants to meet Krishna. But she's feeling sad. She's feeling angry and sad at the same time. And all the Sakhis were there, fanning her and singing to her, trying to cheer her up. And Krishna was there in Prem Sarovar. And he called Lalita and Visakha. They came there. And he said, somehow or other you have to meet me with Radharani. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't drink. I'm going to give up my life if I don't see Radharani. They said, oh, it's very difficult, we don't know what to do. Then Krishna, he gave some hint. So they all went back to Barsana, and they were sitting with Radharani. Suddenly, a very beautiful blackish flower girl, Malini, came walking down the path. And she had a big basket of garlands, malas. And she was singing a very sweet song. Oh, who will take my malas? Just by the touch of my malas, all your cares will go far, far away. And Lalita Sakhi and Visakha, they called the attention of Radharani. Did you hear her song? And Radharani, she looked at that flower girl, and she looked at those malas in the flower girl's basket, and she thought there's only one person in the whole universe who can possibly make a garland like this. So you call her here. So then that Malini came, and she took one of her flower garlands, and she put it on Radharani's neck in such a way that her arms, her fingers, touched Radharani's neck. Then Radharani knew there's only one person in the whole universe that has touched like this. And she looked, and she said, this flower girl is very nice. We should give her some reward. Her garland is so nice. All my cares have gone away. She is not dressed very nicely at all. Today we should undress her and dress her very, very nicely and give her all new sari and choli and everything. Then that Malini, she began to try to back out. And all the Sakhis said, we're just among women, and there's no, why are you so shy to be undressed before women? There's nothing to be worried about. And she was pulling and pulling, and they tried to undo the blouse, and flower girl was holding on to her choli like anything. Somehow or other they managed to open up her bodice, and all of a sudden all these beautiful flowers fell down. And then then all the gopis, they realized that it's Sri Nandanandan. And seeing him standing there like that, they all began to laugh and they began to clap and jump. How Radharani made fool of this Nandanandan. So that beautiful painting is there. And so many other paintings are there. This is Barsana. So then, after taking darshan and escaping from the terrace of Barsana, we go down a huge flight of steps. We go back out, take our shoes, we go around the back of the temple. And Janaki Das, he made this whole temple covered. I saw it before, it was just stucco. Now it's completely covered in white marble and it shines in the distance all around. And we come down these big long stairs to this platform, and this beautiful white chhatri is there. Chhatri means it's like a little white dome with columns. And on the first day of Julan Yatra, after doing the Julan, they bring Radharani and Krishna down to that little platform and they give out Malpua Prasad to everyone. This huge crowd. And the scene is so gorgeous because Julan Yatra means rainy season. The sky is half black with clouds and you can see somewhere in the distance it's raining. Some part is still, so behind the white chhatri you see this black cloud with the wind blowing. You see Radha and Krishna standing there. And so beautiful, and breeze is blowing, birds are flying, half the sky is sunlight, sometimes there's even a rainbow. So beautiful scene you can't imagine. On the first day of their Julan Yatra, which they start from the what we call Haryali Tej. The third day after the Amavasya of Shravan, the third day is Tej, and now it's green, it's been raining, everything is green. Haryali means greenery, so that's Haryali Tej, and that's the first day. We do it from the Kadasi, but in Barsana they start from they have this huge silver julan, solid silver julan that they swing the deities and they bring them down onto that little chhatri down below. So we see that little chhatri, we go along down some more steps, and we come, as we heard, this hill is incarnation of Lord Brahma. So we find one of the very few temples of Lord Brahma. Actually, I saw a whole series of articles in one website, and they've managed to find, I think it went up to 132 different deities of Brahma. We always hear that Brahma has no temple, but there's around over 130 temples of Lord Brahma. One of them is there. We see this little shrine of Lord Brahma with his four heads, and we sing Bhasman yatasma sakalesu nidesu teja swiyam kikatya haridadya tadvadatra Brahma yesha jagadanda vidana karta Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Then we come to the main staircase. It used to be completely in the sunlight, but now someone has covered it for the benefit of all the pilgrims. And we go down that long, winding staircase, and all the tapes are blasting our ears out. And just at the bottom of the first flight, in front of us, there's a little shrine. You probably won't even notice. We go inside, a little temple is there, and we find Sukada and Mahipal. The father, we know that Radharani's mother is Kirtida, and her mother is Mukara. Mukarai's village is just near, before you get to Radhakund. But Brisabhanu's father and mother, father is Mahipal, and his mother is Sukada. Now you see, all the original Brishbasis, they have sweet names. Sukada. Sukha, means pleasure. Who gives happiness? Sukada. Yashoda. Yash means fame. Yashoda, who gives fame. And Kirtida, just like we sing Kirtan, the glories. Kirtida, who gives glories. All the original Brishbasis are givers. Ab ye sab lene wala chala gaye, ab sab binene wala chalo gaye, only lene wala reh gaye. All the givers have gone away, only takers are left. So we see these beautiful deities. Mahipal is sitting there with his wife Sukada. This is called Dadi Dada temple. From paternal grandfather and grandmother, we call Dadi and Dada. So then we go down this little, from that landing we go down some more stairs. Near the bottom of the stairway we find a Bhagavat Bhajan ashram where so many widows are there. My wife was saying this is her goal, to just become one of the little widows chanting in Barsana at the bottom of the stairs. And then, if we turn the corner to the right, and we go a little ahead on the right, there's a big archway. We go through the archway, then we find Astasakhi Mandir. I only know 3 Astasakhi Mandirs in Braj. One is here in Vrindavan, just near Madan Mohan. Then another one is there in Radhakund, if you know where to look for it. And this is a nice little big building there, not very kept up, hardly anybody goes there. And beautiful shrine is there with Radha and Krishna and Lalita Visakha Chitra Champak Indulega Tungavidi Rangadevi Sudevi. Who's there? You couldn't remember? Lalita Visakha Chitra Champaka Indulega Tungavidi Rangadevi Sudevi. Then we come out of that entranceway, gateway, and a little tiny bit ahead, and there's another gateway on the left side. And we go inside, and you see the most exquisite, beautiful golden deities, obviously made of wood, wooden deities, of Brisabhanu, Kirtida, and Sridham. And then on the left side, there's a little altar with Radha and Krishna. Now, I've been told by all the old saints that the original palace, because of course top of the hill is very nice for making temples, but it's difficult to get water there and so many things. So this is the original palace of Brisabhanu. And you see, Sridham is the older brother of Radharani, so we see beautiful, they're painted very bright gold. Recently they redid them. So this is Brisabhanu's palace. We see Brisabhanu and Kirtida in between Sridham, and a little altar with Radha and Krishna. And Radharani, she used to climb on the roof of the palace. Then we have those little dome-like structures, they're called Chandrakala. And she would sit in the Chandrakala and she would look toward Nandagam. And Nandanandan, he would climb on top of the roof of his Nanda Baba's palace and sit in the Chandrakala and look towards Radharani. So you won't know about these places. Just as you come down the stairway. Almost to the bottom of the stairway, we see Baladev, Prabhu, Dauji. Bolo Sri Dauji Maharaj ki, the little deity of Dauji is there. And then you turn right. And on the right side is Astasakhi. On the left side is Brisabhanu's temple. So we'll stop here. This ends our Prikrama of Barsana. Bolo Srimati Radharani ki jai. How many people are with us today?
Right now 94.
94. All right, we thank you for all coming. We'll be here again tomorrow. Hopefully the sprinkling will stop. We'll be able to go to some nice, beautiful place. So please remain safe and Hare Krishna.